Lord, bless this gathering. Help them to open their minds, hearts, and spirits. May they receive comfort and inspiration. Bless their families at home. Thank you for this day, and thank you for our blessings. God bless the children, and God bless the people of the Philippines. I also have another prayer here that might be kind of appropriate. O great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, whose breath gives life to the world, hear me. I come to you as one of your many children. I am small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. May I walk in beauty. Make my eyes behold the red and the purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things that you have made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I know the things that you have taught your children, the lessons you have hidden under every leaf and rock. Make me strong not to be superior to my brothers, but to be able to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me ever ready to come to you with straight eyes, so that when life fades as the faded sunset, my spirit will come to you without shame. John Yellowlock. Amen.
I'd like to thank my relatives, my co-sailors relatives from Musqueam for their welcome. And I come from across the other side of the Georgia, the Wandafuka Strait in the Saanich territory. And great crowd, and it's wonderful to be here with you this evening. Unfortunately, once I'm done here, I have to make it back to the BC Ferries. We couldn't convince them to extend their schedule for this evening. So I will not be able to engage in much fellowship with you this evening.
Wait till you're premier.
That's my MP. I'm so lucky. I've been asked to introduce or to cover the 6 green principles. I said to Adriane that the Green Party of BC has 10, and so we're now struggling to get along. I'm not. We're going to extend that to 12 next year. Ecological wisdom. We acknowledge that human beings are part of the natural world, and we respect the specific value of all forms of life, including non-human species. Nonviolence. We declare our commitment to nonviolence and strive for the culture of peace and cooperation between states. Social justice. We assert that the key to social justice is the equitable distribution of resources to ensure that all have full opportunities for personal and social development. Sustainability. We recognize the scope for the material expansion of society within the biosphere and the need to maintain biodiversity through the use of renewable resources. Participatory democracy. Can't wait for this one. We strive for a democracy in which all citizens have the right to express their views and are able to directly participate in decisions which affect their lives, and I would extend that to most of our MLAs as well. I think that they're probably looking for some participatory democracy. Respect for diversity. We honor and value equally the Earth's biological and ecological diversity together with the context of individual responsibility toward all things. I came to the Green Party because I have the best MP in the country, Elizabeth May. I was a councillor in the district of Central Saanich at the time, and I stepped outside the box and endorsed Elizabeth during the election, and forever grateful for doing that. And at the time, I took a lot of heat for it, but I can say that it was the best decision that I ever made, and hopefully I can continue to make good decisions on council after that. I'd like to give a warm welcome on behalf of the BC Green Party. We're very excited to be a part of this evening. We're very excited to be a part of the BC Green movement that's growing, and in a few minutes you get the opportunity to maybe meet for the first time my colleague who's been doing some incredible work in the legislature. There's this perception that because the legislature isn't sitting, which it should be, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that we should take these extended breaks that the BC legislature is undertaking now. But there's this perception that because it's closed, the doors are closed, that means that work should stop. And the gentleman that you're about to meet he doesn't believe in that. He, like Elizabeth, has got this incredible work ethic that I think that we all share as Greens. And that when we start to elect more Greens provincially and federally and municipally, it will just be proven to the people, proven to the constituents, that we Greens work very, very hard, don't we, Adriane?
Absolutely.
Yes. Work extremely hard to make sure that our voice is being heard, to make sure that our ideas are being put forward, and to make sure that we are taken seriously. Because we are serious. We take this job very, very seriously, and you're going to hear that from Andrew if in fact technology serves us well this evening. We're hoping it is, and he just texted me to say that he's waiting on his computer. So, you got him? Excellent. So, Dr. Weaver is an incredible guy. It's an amazing learning experience for me to work alongside him and to watch him and for him to set the pace. And he is susceptible to competition, and that's the reason why I have the mustache, because it's Movember. And I challenged him, and you'll see that he has a little caterpillar as well. And so when we invite him on, you can let him know whose mustache is better. And you can all let him know that you are going to then go to my MoSpace page and donate to my part of the campaign, because he is very, very inspired and motivated by competition. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here with you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Well, I love that statement that Andrew said about the kids being more important. You know, really that distinguishes the Green Party from every other party. We put the kids first. And as a parent, or as any of you would know, the children really are what we do this for. So first of all, it is really my delight to see you all here tonight. I do acknowledge we are on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Musqueam, Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh, and I really thank Jewel for her wonderful welcome to their territories. We are really blessed to have the welcoming of First Nations into their lands. I also just want to acknowledge that we have other politicians, or at least some people who have been politicians, and I think maybe in the future politicians in the room. So if I can just for a moment, and normally at this time you always start with your senior people. So of course, Elizabeth May, Member of Parliament. One of the first of Greens. Tim Lewis is here. Thank you, Tim. It's an honor. I think Randy Heltman, who ran for mayor for NSV, and Elizabeth Murphy from NSV here. In the room, and although Team was elected, hasn't been for a while. I think you're an organizer for Team. Is that the Team Lower Mainland? Mike is in the room, and I know Darlene Marzari is here, infamous Darlene, who was on City Council and MLA as well. And we also have people here who are from a variety of local neighborhood groups. And these are people who dedicate their lives to seeing issues at the local community level, gel and take them to City Council, City Hall, and really work on behalf of their local fellow neighbors. So I think Pete Fry is here. Pete? From the President of the Strathcona Residents be particularly grateful because I understand your mother is having a fundraiser tonight. And so it's wonderful that you're here. Thank you. Tracy Moyer from OLAR, the Oak Ridge Langara area residents. Ned Jacobs, I think Ned, you're here from Little Mountain. Riley Park. Thank you. Anyone who's, well, that's great. You know that I am.
Mel Lehman.
Oh, and Mel Lehman. Mel, an institution in Kitsilano is going great. And Mel is also, I believe, are you chair of the board for the St. James Community Hall that we are in tonight. So thank you for all your community work and paving the way for an elected NEP in this riding eventually, I believe, too, Mel. Today is 1 year and 1 day away from the next local election here in Vancouver. I know, and we are on countdown. I think that around Vancouver, I'm sensing more and more people really grappling with what is going to happen between now and that election and what will happen in that next election, because we need to change it up at City Hall. People in Vancouver want to see the re-election of another Vision majority. That is what I'm hearing over and over. But you know, I'm going to start just by saying this. I was asked actually, I think by Mike Andreff earlier tonight, you know, what distinguishes the Green Party, Adriane, from the other parties? And the idea of an election a year out makes me realize, in fact, one of the biggest differentiating features. And it came to me from somebody who I think is really one of the most respected Greens in the world, up there with Elizabeth May, Bob Brown, founder of the Tasmanian Greens and then the Australian Greens and leader of the Australian Greens, a senator for many years in Green Party senator in Australia. And it was, in fact, on this stage, one time he came here and he was speaking around electoral reform. And he said, you know what makes the difference between the Green Party and other parties? He said, other parties put all their effort into thinking about what they can do to get themselves re-elected in the next election. And the Green Party puts its effort into thinking, what can we do to put a smile on the face of our children? It really is that distinguishing philosophy about what motivates you as a Green to go into politics and what you put your focus on when you are there as an elected representative. There are big differences between the Green Party and the other parties civically. I'm going to get into those in a moment. But first, I just want to say we are gearing up for the next election. And I know that we are going to, I feel absolutely strongly that we are going to elect more Greens. So you know, first of all, I will be very clear, I've been asked this before, I am not going to run for mayor. I am very excited about getting renominated by my party to run again for council, and I really hope I get elected again because I love what I'm doing. So there is, though, a need to have more Greens at the council level. I am one, and oftentimes, many days, I have sat in that council room or I've been in the back hall listening to the banter around me and felt the kind of heat and the barbs that are thrown in my direction. And when it gets particularly bad and sort of nasty, I go into my office and I think, Adriane, they are not your caucus. Your caucus is the people. It is the people of this city. But it sure would be nice to have some more Greens there. And too, for another reason, which is that a number of people who come to me to ask me for help is so large. And if you and some of you did come up to me saying, well, I hadn't responded to your email, my sincere apologies if I don't get your email right away. And it's true, I have a big backlog, and I've got more files that end up on my desk of things to do that I get off my desk every day, so they just pile up, and then I get to the point where I just have to stay up till midnight and 2 and 3 in the morning and kind of get the pile down. And I would love some help at the council table. So it will be up to our members, and that means that I hope all of you in this room who have it in your will and in your desire to see more Greens elected, that you do take out a membership in the Green Party of Vancouver. Obviously too in the Green Party of Canada and in the Green Party of BC. But I really need your help because we're 1 year out from an election. We have to have a minimum number of members to the Green Party of Vancouver in order to endorse candidates for the slate coming up. It has to be a number 1 year in advance of the election. This is the time where I need you to sign up because frankly speaking, 2 years ago when the Green Party was looking to run candidates in the last election in 2011, there were a lot of names on the Green Party membership list who were actually very friendly to Vision, and they almost blocked us from running any candidates for council, any candidates for school board, and just only one candidate for park board. And it was a very close vote. It's scary to think about that now, but I basically almost didn't get nominated within my own party. So if you haven't taken out a membership in a party, I would love you to join it. It's only $10, and tonight, because you came in, you paid for this, you can have it free. Well, actually, what you do is you pay for the membership, you get this event for free. And you please, before you leave, make sure you get it ticked off that you want to be a member. We have membership cards newly printed for tonight. I know that the Green Party of Canada and the Green Party of BC would be very, very happy to see their memberships grow by the presence of such wonderful people as you. So it is my important ask of you tonight. If you can do that, I'd be most grateful. So in terms of the slate, we're not looking at probably running more than 2 or 3, but I think that that's reasonable. And I would love to see some people for park board as well. As you know, we did have recently a park board representative, Stuart McKinnon. Is Stuart here tonight? Yeah. Yes, okay. You know what? Nice to have others I didn't see in our house. Stuart, so our recent Green on park board, and do I miss you? I mean, it's very hard to handle that. When you think about all the issues that have come up about the park board this last 2 years, it's phenomenal. You did a stellar job, and as I say, I really hope we see Greens back on park board because it's so critical. And for school board as well, and I think Louise Boutin here, waving her hand, ran for the Greens last time, so thank you. And why do I think that we can and should run more? Obviously, more candidates and get them in. I think we can get them in, and I think we should run more because I really believe right now in Vancouver we have a crisis in our democracy. I mean, I've heard Elizabeth speak about it on a national level, but Elizabeth, here in this city, you wouldn't think with a party that framed itself as the People's Party and the party of good consultation, and that this would be a party around which would generate so much anger and so much distrust in government. But it has indeed been the case. I have been shocked by my last 2 years to see the growing animosity, the divisiveness which plays out by actions that Vision has taken, and the disregard for the wealth of knowledge and information and desire of people who live in the city to see their neighborhoods and their city develop in a vision, along a vision that's in sync with the neighborhoods that they love. The features of the neighborhoods, the heritage, the character of this city, that they find that it's really the living part of Vancouver, the people in those neighborhoods, the kind of landscapes we have there, and they are being run over, ramshot run over. There's not been one development proposal come to the table at council that hasn't been voted unanimously through by Vision. And that has been in the face of overwhelming numbers of people who have come to council to say, this is not the right project for our neighborhood. We welcome
some development. We welcome some additional density. We welcome different forms of housing. But this project, people say, this project is too high, it's too dense, it's in the wrong location. You haven't consulted with us. It is going to increase the burden on all the services, the schools, the libraries, the parks, the transportation system. And despite all that, and people saying we're willing to work with you to make this a more reasonable proposal, Vision votes it through. That is the biggest, in my mind, the biggest problem around democracy in this city. A majority group of individuals elected in one party Vision has let that majority go to their heads, has let that majority lead them away from truly consulting with people into just consulting with themselves and with those that back them. And I am not happy with seeing that move into the future. And that's why we need in this next election to make sure, in fact, no party gets a majority, because I think it's not a very democratic government. Give you a feeling for why I think Greens are going to get elected more, and what it is that is different in terms of Greens versus some of the other parties. You know, so often we think about politics as left or right. Greens, right from the beginning, were never considered to be left or right. I remember when we co-founded it in 1983, the German Greens, who were a model, and they were the first to get elected to at a national level, a state level, the Bundestag, ended up having a phrase saying neither left nor right, but ahead or in front. I still think we're working on that, and it's 30 years later. Last election that I can verify for you that I won, and believe me, I won by such a narrow margin. Those of you who are with me that night, 91 votes. I mean, yeah, my son's sitting there knowing like it was all nail biters that night. 91 votes. So by the way, if you voted for me, convince at least 2 more people to vote for me that didn't last time. And not only that, the most important thing is that they vote for the other Green candidates. Whoever we end up running, that we get a stronger slate in. So if you can do that for me too, think about it now well in advance. But I do know that I wouldn't have got in if it weren't for some major endorsements like NSV. I'm very, very honored that Neighborhoods for Sustainable Vancouver did endorse me in the last election, and I hope they will consider endorsing Greens in the next. The firefighters endorsement was incredibly important. But, you know, also, I mean, I think it was, you know, seeing Darlene Marzari's lawn with, you know, the Tim, and I can't remember whose lawn signs you had in your lawn, but I think they must...
You and Tim.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. So, you know, that sort of feeling, and around the city, I know by looking at the polls, that people voted Vision and Green. They voted COPE and Green. They voted NSV and Green. They voted NPA and Green. And that, in fact, it is that breadth of support that is kind of a winning formula. And why is it that way? Why is it that people, right or left or center of the spectrum, vote Green? I think we have to acknowledge that concern around our children's future, it's not left or right. Concern about the environment and sustainability, they're not left or right. Concern about social justice and fairness and equity in our city and our world, these aren't left or right issues. They're kind of common sense, good principles. You know, as Adam spoke to earlier tonight, they're just these fundamental principles that if politicians all led their decision making by these principles, boy, would we have a far better city, a far better province, a far better country. And in countries where Greens are elected, in cities and states where they are elected around the world, the analysis has been shown you get much, much, much better legislation, much more reasonable legislation. You get legislation that moves places forward in terms of renewable energy, that moves transit forward. I think it was the Greens in Ireland that had as one of their top platforms a national transit strategy through the whole of the country. The Greens in Germany that had, deactivating the nuclear power plants and bringing in wind and solar energy. And what did it end up being? The Greens in Germany, their policy drove Germany to be one of the world's leaders in the production of the technologies that go with that. So they have a wealth of new jobs, a wealth of new energy, and a wealth of new profits within their country. Because the policy that made sense for the environment makes sense for the economy, makes sense for people, makes sense for jobs. So, in this city, what do I think the main issues are right now? Well, I've already named one, democracy. I absolutely believe that we can have a decision-making process in Vancouver that doesn't leave out citizens, local neighborhood groups, that doesn't sort of malign local neighborhood groups as NIMBYs or as vested interests in the effort to think that there might be some other more representative kind of group. I mean, people who organize at the local level, who put their lifeblood, their heart, their sweat, their tears into developing some ideas and plans that will make their neighborhood better. I mean, that is the core of democracy. Those are the people that have taken up the challenge of representing their neighborhood. So there is the sort of essence of the essence of democracy to me is that the people you elect are representative of you, not of whoever put in $1 million into their campaign, but you, the citizens. And it's really getting back to listening to people and what they want for their neighborhood, what they want for their city, that should be driving policies at City Hall. And a process of eking out what people want that doesn't focus its attention on online surveys and open houses with little poster boards where you tick off some boxes on a questionnaire. I mean, engage people, have discussions, have their ideas come forward, start with the people's ideas, and have planners at the city work with people around then developing a vision for that neighborhood and for our city. So fundamentally, I think that's a huge issue. Number 2, development. Development in this city has gone berserk. I mean, it's development on steroids, and I think there have been some indications that we are maybe not as much as 5 times faster, but it's something a little less than that, close to 5 times faster growing than our city projected we would only 2 years ago for our regional growth strategy. We are growing at the pace we're growing. I mean, there was one estimate last week that we are going to get to the population level we have predicted we are going to get to, and we are planning to get to by 2030. We are going to get there by 2019. In other words, we are just, you see it at City Hall. The major projects, the increased density, the numbers of people that could be housed in those projects, incredibly fast pace. And what does that mean for, in fact, the services? You can't develop. Sandy, I saw Sandy Garasino there. Sandy, who ran too in the last election, independent. Thanks, Sandy, for coming. You can't develop a city and approve all this new development without thinking about those services that at base are going to be what keeps the quality of life and the livability of our city strong. So coupled with development, issues of livability and quality of life. And finally, affordability. Vision has been playing games with affordability. They redefined it, they changed the definition over time. I've even heard Councillor Carrie Jang say affordability is what people can afford. Like, duh. But to say that affordability is just, a rent that's less than if you were trying to own something is not the right measure. We have standard measures of affordability. We should be applying them. And if we're not getting there, at least we'll be honest about the fact that we're not getting there and might try some other avenues to get there. So I think there are huge issues that are gelling people. I mean, the issues that have arisen, including the whole issue with the community center associations and the real right of people who have vested all their effort into building up something like a community center. We should be honoring their work, not trying to divest them of authority, control, or money. So, I think that our goal in this next year is to build, to talk amongst various people, to gel an alternative that people can feel confident in voting in this city, that they are going to vote for people who are offering a choice that puts people, communities, neighborhoods, our children's future first. That, I think, is what people will vote for. I really, really encourage people to not vote in. Another majority, as I say, goes to their heads. Vote in minorities. Let the parties work together. Force them to work together and collaborate. We will get better government out of that. I'm absolutely convinced.
Right on.